Hi, this is Mike Mason from Mike Mason Consulting. Thank you for watching today. Today we're going to talk about high school sports niche. The sports business is a huge opportunity. Um, Mostly what we did is we targeted high schools. We did do some middle schools, but you have two basic schools in your area. The first being public schools, and then you have private schools. Now, we dealt with the combination of both, but what I did find that a lot of the private schools, the demographics for the larger size private schools, they ended up purchasing, the parents have more money. So a lot of times the packages that we had, we kind of expanded upon. Whereas the public school, you had a mixture of different demographics. So sometimes you had to kind of pare down the packages. We also targeted a couple middle schools and found that it's kind of an untapped niche because a lot of companies out there, they don't really target the middle schools. That's both in the uniforms and also the other athletic apparel that I call athletic accessories like polos and all that kind of stuff. It's an untapped market, but high schools was mostly where we went. There's a lot of competition here, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You still can be get a good amount of business here. Now, there's two types of businesses, competitors. One was the one-stop shop. They basically did everything. They provided all the types of apparel. They provided equipment. They provided major equipment for, they might provide not just the football uniforms, but the helmets and the goalposts, etc., etc. So you had the one-stop shop where that's their niche, complete niche. But most of your competitors are going to be product targeted competitors to where they sell just track uniforms or they sell just the accessories that go with it. There's a lot of different ways to sell to this target market of the high school sports market. We use a combination of these because there are companies that are only web based. I don't recommend it because I think it's a very competitive market and you need to actually go out and reach to people. But you need to have some type of website in coordination with all your marketing. To begin with, but we did a lot of direct marketing, direct mail, especially. Sometimes we'd send out packages to people who responded. The in person is a really good thing, especially if you start locally to begin with. Telemarketing, we would call the schools, get a hold of the coaches, and one important thing when you get the coaches, once you're able to get their cell phones so you can market directly to them, it's a big advantage because we did a lot of our correspondence through texting. Two types of apparel you're going to sell to the schools: either player uniforms and athletic accessories. And I call it athletic accessories because it's this other stuff that they don't necessarily need, but they want to purchase, like polos and jackets and caps, bags and warm ups, etc. To give you an example on the bags, a lot of times what we do is we not only had the school logo, but we'd put the player numbers on there. Because when you got 30 bags or 20 bags just laying there, and they don't know whose are whose, having the numbers on them, they can easily find their particular bag. When now we did most of this work in house at this point in time because we had our own production equipment. You can farm it out, but on an example of the bags, most of the polos and jackets and warm ups we would do on our production machine. But sometimes the bags we would like to do the numbers, particular player numbers. We do that on our one head machine. There's some great equipment to make it really quick and easy when you're doing stuff like bags. When you go to sell to a sports department of a school, you're going to be running into a lot of different people. I put purchasing department on the top because it's really important to realize where you're going to get paid. Early in the conversation with either the athletic director or the coach, whoever's purchasing the apparel, you need to ask about who's going to be paying, if it's going to be a PO from the school or if it's going to be the coach. Or if it's going to be a booster club. You'll deal with sometimes the athletic director deals with all the apparel. A lot of times this is the coaches. On larger schools, it might be the coach and the assistant coach, and you'll be dealing with the assistant coach or a parent who's helping from the booster club. Vendors are another key person that you need to talk to. If you don't do it in house, you need to work with your vendor and let them know what you're doing and what may be coming up because that way you can almost schedule it in so you can get quicker turnaround. One note is you're going to have rushes. last minute there's a new team member or something, you're going to have every once in a while you're going to have one more set. It's critical to be able to rush that set, even if you had to pull it in house and do that one set on your one head. But they're gonna a lot of times the coaches they're really disorganized, most of them. So you kind of have to kind of make everything as plain and simple as possible. They'll gravitate to something that's easier than it is harder to deal with. You have a lot of products that you can sell. We sold a lot of warm-ups and jackets and coach polos. T-shirts we dabbled in on some of the packages. There's an easy way if you have a heat press to be able to do T-shirts without having to farm it out if you're doing smaller runs like under 100 or something like that, or under 50. The bags, the caps, varsity jackets. If you notice on the left hand side, there's a varsity jacket. Now you can do this as a standalone product to market to the coaches, or you can do or athletic directors, or you can do it as a part of a package deal. This is from Sanmar. It's not your typical varsity jacket. It's lightweight. This one without the embroidery costs about $39. They have different colors, so it's a decent markup when you add the embroidery to it. It might be, let's say, $60 for this jacket, but it's instead of spending $300 or $400 on a heavy duty typical varsity jacket. So we sold a lot of these jackets. Since it was affordable, a lot more kids, both on the private schools and the public schools, loved them. Constantly have to look at your vendors and just look at the products to see what you can incorporate into your sports niche. There's a lot of niches available. I recommend that you try the varsity jacket or do packages first. I would start locally, work with smaller or medium-sized private schools or public schools. They're trying to get your feet wet the first year, and then you'll kind of get to know how the process works, and you can expand upon it the next year and go statewide if you wanted, or even bigger. You're going to need to have samples and sample packages to show them, and have pricing laid out. You need to make it easy for them to order. Make up an order sheet that they can pass out to the players, that they write down what they want to order and the sizes, etc. Avoid taking multiple payments. Ran into a situation where one of our customer service people who was new forgot to go over the most important conversation, and that's about who's paying the bill. And on it, we ended up getting an order with individual checks for each and every order. And so we had about 35 checks, and 5 of those, I remember how many bounced. 5 of them bounced, and we only got paid those 5 for 3 of them, so we ended up losing the money on 2 packages. It's just one of those things where if you make sure you have that conversation in the front of the ordering process, it'll alleviate a lot of headaches at the end. Some other points to ponder. Remember, coaches love free stuff. So if you're doing a whole bunch of packages for a school team, you might want to think about building into the price free polos for the coaches, because it just makes them want to order from you because they're getting something for free. Coaches love the word free. Do a lot of research for ideas online, and not only just for designing or how to package stuff, but you can also, I do have some resources for that, but also for looking through your regular vendors on different products, but like the varsity jacket I showed you that you can sell to them. Start simple and then grow from there. So this is one of those businesses that's very seasonal. So you have to make sure that whatever sports that you're going after mixes in with your business and the amount of work that you have. But you'll start simple, and then as you go from one year to the next, you'll expand a lot, because all of a sudden you'll get to know what works, and you can go from being local to statewide to national. This is just a short overview on some of the high school sports opportunities they have out there. Now, if you do have questions, I know I've covered just a broad range of topics, and this is a big topic. If you do have questions or thoughts, please either email me or call me. This is Mike Mason from Mike Mason Consulting. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to your questions.